To create a diorama template, I'm going to use this large die set that is called Diorama Card Builder. The largest die is a solid background that has some scored lines for the sides of the diorama. The set also includes 3 frames. One is the simple open frame, another one is the grass frame, and the third one is the forest frame with the trees. All frames measure 5 by 7 inches on the outside. The set also includes some add-ons. It's the hill line, a tree, plus some plants and bushes and flowers. I'm also going to need some cardstock, and I'm going to use the light gray shades by Creative Expressions. The colors are called Stone and Barely Gray. I really enjoy the quality of this cardstock, and I highly recommend it. I'm also going to use the plain white cardstock. This is Nina Classic Crest. I'm going to start by die cutting the largest shape out of barely gray cardstock, and I'm going to use the large cutting plates for it. By the way, you can totally use the small 6-inch wide plates if this is what you have. You will just have to run the die twice through the machine. I'll be using the large cutting plates since I can die cut this shape in one go this way. Then I'm going to repeat this process since I'm going to need 2 base die cuts for this project. Then I went ahead and die cut all 3 frames out of 3 shades of cardstock. I have also die cut a plain background out of the printed vellum. If you don't have a 5 by 7 die, you can simply use your paper trimmer. First, I'd like to show you the very basic way of creating a diorama. So you just have to fold all the scored lines zigzag-wise, and then you can attach the front piece, which could be any frame from the set, and then you can add more frames to the folds. But there is a bit more interesting way, which I'm going to demonstrate you right now. So first I'm going to use my ruler and a craft knife, and I'm going to cut out an open frame out of the background piece. So the thickness of this frame is about 1/4 inch. You can also use a die, of course, if you have the one of the right size. Then you have to repeat this process for the second base piece. Then I have to fold the score lines so that they are going to form the tab that is facing inwards. This is exactly how you would create a mini album. You will see later exactly what I mean. You have to repeat this process on the second side of this base piece as well as on the second piece. And then I'm going to attach the background. So I'm applying the double-sided tape on the inside of the back piece, and I'm sticking down a piece of vellum to it. If you are using Paper Discovery printed vellum, you won't see the adhesive tape through it. So that was the back piece, and now I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the front piece of the diorama. So I'm applying the double-sided tape again, and I'm attaching the grassland frame onto the front, followed by the plain white frame. So now when both the front and the back are finished, I'm going to move on to the sides. And this is how you do it. I'm going to apply the adhesive onto the second section, and then I'm going to stick down the second and the third sections together. And this is going to form that tab that is facing inwards, and this is exactly where we are going to attach more layers. Then I'm going to flip this piece over and repeat the same process on the other side, because it's going to be symmetrical. I'm also going to apply the adhesive onto the very last tabs on both sides. I'm going to repeat exactly the same process on the other piece. I'm applying the adhesive onto the second section and then form a tab that is facing inwards. Then I'm going to take the front and the back piece and I'm going to connect the last sections together and stick them down. And this way I'm attaching the front to the back, and I'm also forming another tab that is facing inwards. Then I'm connecting the tabs on the other side. And this way we have a diorama template that has the front and the back and 3 tabs on the inside for attaching more layers. You can leave this template as it is, but I have decided to cover up the sides as well. So I created 2 rectangles using my paper trimmer. They measure 5 inches by 1 5/8. I'm going to attach both side pieces onto the template using the double-sided tape. Now I'm going to add more layers on the inside of the diorama. Since I only have 1 frame left and there are 3 layers that can be added, I went ahead and die cut another one out of darker gray cardstock, and later on I'm going to flip it over and they are going to look like 2 different layers. So now I am applying some adhesive onto the sides of the first frame, and I'm going to stick it down onto the first tab. Double-sided tape would work just as fine. By the way, if you are interested in the tools and supplies that I'm using, I have them listed down below in the description box, as well as on my blog. To make the second frame look even more different from the first one, I have decided to create a higher hill for it. So I'm going to use the hillside die also included in the set. I've die cut it out of gray cardstock and I'm sticking it down onto my frame, and then I'm going to trim off everything that hangs off the edges of the frame. And here is the second frame ready to go. Then again I'm going to add some glue onto the sides of the frame, and I'm going to stick it down inside the diorama to the tab number 3 if you count from the front. This way I have 1 spare tab right in the center of the diorama, and I'm going to use it to add 1 more fun element. I'll be using a bridge die from Over the Bridge die set, and this one measures 7 inches and it works perfectly with the diorama. By the way, this set also includes a bunch of cute vehicles that you can use with the bridge. This bridge die has a lot of etched details that you can use for embossing. So here you see I've die cut and embossed this shape out of white cardstock, and the embossing is nice and deep, and you can even use it on both sides. But it's not yet it. Since this die has a lot of raised areas, you can also use it for hot foiling, and this is what I'm going to try right now. I have preheated the machine according to the instructions. Then I'm building up the foiling sandwich and I'm going to send it through my Gemini Junior machine. And then I'm going to reveal the pretty foiled pattern. I just wanted to mention that with the Gemini foiling machine, you can do foiling and die cutting at one go. But if you have any other machine, you can do just the foiling, and this is what I did right now to demonstrate. And then I'm going to do the die cutting. Now I have to do the die cutting, which is really easy because the die already did some debossing, so it's easy to align. You just have to find the right groove and the die is kind of clicking into place, and then I'm going to tape it down. I've sent it all through the die cutting machine, and now I have the outline die cut. To make my bridge a bit sturdier, I'm going to back up the foiled die cut with the plain one that I created earlier. I'm simply using the liquid glue for that. The one I'm using is Ranger Multimedia Matte. I have also die cut the train and couches included in the set out of silver mirror cardstock, and I'm going to add them on top of the bridge. I placed the bridge onto the diorama to make sure the train is not going to be covered up with the trees, so now I know it should start somewhere at the center of the second arch, and then I'm going to use the liquid glue and stick it down. Then again, I'm applying some adhesive only to the sides of the bridge, and I'm sliding it inside the diorama, and I just have to make sure that the bottom line of the bridge is completely hidden behind the first hill, and then I'm going to stick it down onto the tabs. I'm using the bone folder at the bottom of the tab and the tweezers at top to kind of press the bridge onto that little tab. The last finishing touch I'm going to add are those two tiny seagull outlines. They are from another die set from the same release, and that one is called In the Country. By the way, you can use that die set to create more different layers for this diorama. So this is what the finished project looks like. To summarize, it measures 5 by 7 inches and it's 1 5/8 deep. You can create up to 5 layers with this template, and you can use either the frames included in the set or you can add your own elements. By the way, there are 2 more die sets in this release that coordinate perfectly with this one. And of course, since we used vellum for the background, it can be backlit, and then you can create the sunset and sunrise effects. Now